What's up, beautiful people? My name's Ronnie. This is I'm gonna officially call it Waffle Talk. I'll explain the name when all the logos and whatnot gets here. But this is gonna be Waffle Talk. This is a safe space for men and men's issues. And today I think I got a pretty important issue that we need to discuss amongst men. And that is, as you saw in the title, this is the T show. We're going to talk about testosterone and how important it is in a man's life, and basically what to look out for, um, how to treat it, and just basically it's an awareness meeting, pretty much. Um, so before we get into that, thank you for tuning in. The one person I have here so far, uh, in my Facebook anyway. Eventually, and this is going to come pretty soon, I'm going to start publicizing my YouTube channel and the Facebook page that I created for Waffle Talk. I want to move a lot of stuff away from, well, not a lot, but I want to move some of this away from my personal page. What I'm noticing is uh, there's a huge difference in what's going on in the gender war these days. Uh, I've been pretty consistent, I think, for the last few years or so, as far as what I say on social media about women and whomever, and dealing with women and everything. Like, I feel like I've been very, very consistent. Um, it's cranked up a little bit, I think, because of the whole Kevin Samuels craze that's going on right now. Granted, I mean, I watch his stuff, but I think something interesting is happening. It's something that we've never seen before, where men are actually expressing themselves and women are kind of, it's, if you're on social media anyway, you're kind of forced to listen to it, and it's creating a dialogue that we haven't seen in our community, um, in a large number, or at a large number that we haven't seen in a while. So I'm hoping for the best. I don't hate women or anything. I just want black families to come back together. And I want black men especially to be well. So Waffle Talk is going to be a space for us to uh, discuss our issues, have it out with each other if we have to, and basically get down to the nitty gritty of like how we can become better. The world is a vast place, and you can only touch so many people, but while you're here you need to touch as many people as you can. um, So if anybody's listening to this or has any interest in this, like, thank you for tuning in, because that's my goal. I think I make a lot of I think I make some sense on some things, not just because I feel that highly of myself, but because I've been told that I've made sense on some things. My perspective is sought after by some people, whether they like me, dislike me, argue with me on Facebook, or argue with me, or don't argue with me, ignore me, whatever. Uh, I think I think my end goal is like my biggest thing. Like, I really want to see the black family come back together as much as possible, because I've gotten to an age where um I've started saying things like, I may not be here to see it, because I realize that culture takes a long time to shift. It's going to take a couple of generations, but I think the upcoming generation is probably going to do pretty well, because the black boys really don't want the black women because of reputations, and now those boys are seeking out people like Kevin Samuels and other people in the manosphere as their guidance, because they didn't have fathers. And I find it rather interesting too that I had this thought today. Um, women or black women will say that they want, and I say black women just because I'm talking about our community here, but black women will say that they want men to do better, improve, and become the best version of themselves so that they can be the best version of themselves. But when these men go out and look at Kevin Samuels, go out and look at Fit and Fresh, and then they, all the things that they've been thinking now have words to them and they can express them to you, there's a problem to it. And you can say it's bashing, and I don't think any of it is. Now, granted, there are some outliers. There's some guys who will use that for evil, and I'm sorry about that on behalf of men everywhere. But men aren't necessarily trying to bash you, beat you over the head, subjugate you, and make you slaves. We really, I mean, men are more charitable in a sense. We want to make sure we take care of people. That's part of our life purpose. As women are supposed to be nurturing and caring for their offspring, men's life purpose is to make sure that we take care of somebody. There's that itch, that drive. That's why people get dogs, right? Some guys, I mean, that's why dog's a man's best friend. A dog will take care of it. I'm sorry, you'll take care of your dog, and then that dog will love you, be happy to see you every time he comes home, right? So we need to take care of people, and women want us to be the best version of ourselves. Just let us try to figure it out the best way we know how, instead of coming at where we're getting it from. Does it take a little bit of power from women? It does, but it is what it is. I would do a Derek Jackson subscriber count, but it hasn't moved much. It went from 723,000 last week to 722,000 this week. Not much of a shift, but it is what it is. Also, I am eventually, actually, let me see something real quick, because I was like, why are my comments not coming up? If I have any, I'm gonna make this public post. And great. All right. So another thing about this channel, whatever I'm trying to do here, I wanted to add some new elements to the show, but I keep having some technical difficulties. As far as like sound effects, pictures, all that other stuff. Like I want to be interactive, best as much as possible. Sorry. So I'm trying to add new elements. I'm playing around with some new stuff. Bought a couple new toys that I get to play with. And I really just want to make this fun. I mean, I want it to be fun for me. I want it to be fun for you. If you're not entertained, then I mean, what am I doing this for? Thank you for all 6 of you who have joined into the conversation. I do appreciate that. You are, all right, 5. You are wonderful people in my eyes. Tonight, I'm drinking Jack and Coke. I normally don't do dark drinks with my dark liquor, but it's what I had in the refrigerator. I think I'm gonna actually cut back on that too. One thing that guys really are figuring out is something that my father told me when I was younger. And that was, if you become the best version of yourself, then the women will come to you and you won't have a problem with that. You won't have a problem with dating and everything. So one of my goals personally is to just cut some weight down. I mean, a lot of people are doing that since the summer's coming up, and lockdowns are pretty much, I won't say over, but lockdown is loosen up a little bit. COVID's not as big a deal. So everybody's trying to lose some weight, and me too, honestly. Is there anything else? As I said, this is the T show, where I'm going to talk about testosterone. I'm going to share my story, my personal story of my low testosterone with y'all. I've shared it before on an Instagram story, and I wish I would have kept that video because I got a lot of good responses from it. People talking about, people were inspired to actually go get their testosterone checked for themselves because they thought they had some of those same symptoms. Other people, of course, talking about the influencing or encouraging Black men to go to the doctor, because we don't do that. Men in general don't go to the doctor, but Black men especially, because of the medical history our community has had, or the history we've had with the medical community. Black folks don't really go to the doctor. So I want to get that turned around. I always say, go find you a Black doctor you can trust, pretty much. I mean, that's the most I can tell you. That's what helped me. I had a Black female doctor. Black woman doctor. Female doctor. Anyway, she was a she, and a Black woman from Arkansas, and she helped me out quite a bit. And but I'll get to that story in a bit. All right. 2 people in here. Great. It's always the informational stuff that doesn't get people to tune in. So if you're watching this right now, if you could go ahead and give me a like or share the stream that would be awesome. Let's try to get this message out there. If you think I got something good to say, then go ahead and tell your friends. If they haven't heard it before, you don't think they heard it before, if you think they need to hear it, by all means, tell your friends, share the stream, and we can all be great together. At the end of the day, I just want to see black people back together. I grew up pro-black, very black. Everything was black. I was at a white school for a little bit, and then I wanted to go back to a black school because I miss being black. I just want to see us better as a community. I don't hate anybody. I'm not trying to subjugate anybody. I just want to see us together. So I feel like the message I have, we can get there. Or we can at least encourage others to do it. All right. Thank you for the like. All right. So today, again, like I said, I'm talking about testosterone. Testosterone. I'm a teacher and I have a psychology class. And one of the things that we discuss is the effects of your biology on your behavior. We often hear in the media that we're socialized into doing certain things, but we never really discuss what's nature to us, what's primal in our nature. For example, the idea of boys' toys and girls' toys. Boys' toys tend to be things like cars, trucks. They're hard. They have moving parts. They have moving parts. You can take them apart. You can spin them. They have noise attached to them, and you kind of just you build stuff. Like those are traditionally boy toys. Girl toys are like soft and fluffy and squishy, and like you can hold it. It doesn't really do too much, and you just like take care of it and make it do what you want to do, right? So there's scientists have done studies to see if boys' toys are boys' toys because of socialization or because of nature. And so what they did was they couldn't find, of course, anybody who's been in or any child who hasn't been socialized in some way. Even if you go down to like these third world countries, they have their own processes for how men and women are, or own beliefs on how men and women are supposed to be. So what they did was they went to our closest cousins, the primates, and they decided to go into their habitat and they threw out boys' toys and girls' toys just to see what they would do. And what they found was that much like our society, the boys went for the boy toys and the girls went for the girl toys. The girls went for the girl toys, the boys went for the boy toys. Right? And these were monkeys. These were not human beings who've been socialized. They've never seen a commercial for, I don't know, the Easy Bake Oven. They've never seen a G.I. Joe commercial. They've never seen a Tonka truck commercial. They never RC. That's crap. I forgot what that slogan was. Tyco. That's how you spell RC. There we go. I should remember that. Those are my initials. So what they kind of discussed was that there's some nature to what we do. And I mean, we don't talk about what comes natural to us. And so one of the things that we discuss in class eventually is hormones and how our hormones naturally impact our behavior. I go over the adrenal glands, which produce adrenaline, or noradrenaline to calm you down. We go over the thyroid glands, which help regulate your metabolism. We go through the pineal glands, of course, the pituitary gland, and then we deal with the sex hormones. It's a senior level class, so I get to talk about that stuff. So when we get to discussing hormones, the testes and the ovaries, the testes produce a hormone called testosterone. The ovaries produce a testosterone. I'm sorry, not testosterone. The ovaries produce a hormone called estrogen, and estrogen is a primary hormone in women. Testosterone, the primary hormone in males. Now, we all have varying levels of both, but excuse me, let me get this right. We all have different levels of both, but in men, testosterone is much higher. In women, estrogen is much higher than it is in men. And we've all kind of accepted that as factual, right? We know that women have estrogen and men have more testosterone. It is what it is. But we really don't talk about what that means. And so what I want to do today is discuss with you what exactly testosterone means for men. I'm not going to dive into estrogen because I'm pretty sure there are some things and research in there that I could do, but this is waffle talk and I'm not trying to go down that road. We're going to talk about testosterone and maybe touch on some estrogen and female hormones. All right. So let me tell you, thank you for the 3 people in here. Thank you for the likes and the love. So let's talk about something here. All right, let's go with my story. So in 2000 and I want to say 17, the bookmark is in the room, but in 2017, a couple of things happened to me that kind of woke me up a little bit. First things first, I had a friend of mine named Donovan. He passed away in a motorcycle accident. We were the same age. We graduated together. Good friend of mine from high school. You know, with guys, we don't really like. Even if we separate for a long time, we could always come back together. Be cool. Like, because unless you end off on a really bad note, guys tend to be friends forever. Like, I got friends right now who I can call up and we haven't talked in weeks, but if I say, yo, dude, I need this, that, and the third from you, like, can you help me out? You know, whether it be money or connection or whatever it is, like I can hit them up and they got me, right? So Donovan was kind of like one of those people. Generally, he was a nice guy too. Real cool, real funny, real smart. Real kept it real with you. So thanks for that. So when Donovan passed away, and I went back home to Detroit for the funeral. This was a homegoing service. It was more like everybody said their words, music and stuff at the end. Everybody had a good time. That's the kind of funeral I want. Don't cry me into the grave. Let's have a party. So I went to the service. You know, I felt what I felt. I had an offer from a young lady to spend the night with her, let's say, and I rejected it. Like, I remember when she actually asked me, she was like, do you want to do that? You want to, like, you know, whatever? And I was like, sure. No, not sure. She was like, you want to whatever? And I remember thinking to myself, like having this anxiety of like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm staying with my parents. Like, do I go to the hotel room or like, we do in the car? Like, what is she talking about? And I just couldn't figure it out. And so, I just panicked, and like it eventually ended up being no. And that kind of stuck with me because I was like, that's weird. Like, usually I jump all over that, right? Or I would anyway. So I go back home. Come back to Houston. It's the day after I get back. I'm reffing a football game. And it's 3 games in one night. And after the first game, the announcer comes on and he says, is there a medical person in the crowd, a doctor, a nurse, medic, whatever it is there anybody in the crowd that can go help? So we just finished the first game, and then after the first game we find out that a woman got hit by a car right across the street from the school. Apparently her and her husband, baby daddy, the guy, whoever he was, like, something happened. She got frantic, ran away from him, ran out into the street, got hit by a truck. Right. So horrible thing happened. I'm like, oh man, that's terrible. I'm not thinking much about it because we got 2 more games to do. And then when the third game was over and I get ready to leave, the police officers they still have the street blocked off because of course this is a hit and run. This is a murder, right? So manslaughter, whatever it is. So they had the streets blocked off, so you couldn't really see what was happening. There was like a cop car, a fire truck, an ambulance, a tow truck. Like it was all these different things like blocking the road, and the officer was making everybody turn in one direction to the right. Well, in order for me to get home, the quickest way was to make a left. So the officer, he let the car in front of me go to the left, and I was like, oh, okay. And then me. And so I turned left, and me with my curious brain, I look over to the right and I see this woman's body laying in the street. Like they hadn't even covered it. And she was just twisted up, and like I could see her face like looking. It was a very, very interesting sight. I had never seen anything like that. It was almost like something you saw from a horror movie. It was that disturbing to me, and that stuck with me on the way home. So mind you, I just got home. I just got back to Texas from Detroit that like the day before for a service that I had 2 days prior, right? So I'm like, it's like bam, bam. It's like a bam, bam, 1-2 punch, right? And so I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like, and I went back home and I couldn't think of anything else. Like it was haunting me, it seemed. And I figured I had PTSD, but as time goes on, I'm thinking about that every day. Like my friend died. I saw this woman die in the street, and like in that moment, like something clicked. I was like, yo, this shit could happen to me at any moment. Like these people didn't wake up in the morning and think like, hey, I'm gonna die today. They just died, right? And I just kept thinking about it. It was just this recurring thought in my brain of, you know, death is around the corner. It's coming. You don't know what it might be. I'm in the kitchen cooking and I'm chopping vegetables and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I could really like cut a finger off and like bleed out. I'm driving on the road and there's a green light and I'm really cautious to like, I hated driving at that time. My anxiety was through the roof, and I'm driving thinking to myself like, man, somebody could really blow this red light and that could be it. You know, it wasn't necessarily that I had became like suicidal. I just became like anxious to die. Like, when is it coming? Am I going to die in my sleep? Am I going to slip in the tub and hit my head on the side of the tub? Am I going to, you know, is it going to be a fire? Is it going to be an explosion? Like, what is it going to be? Like, I just had this like overwhelming thoughts of like, when am I going to go? And around that same time, I had been dating someone who told me in the beginning that her sex drive is really high. And before, I mean, I thought mine was, but when I got with her, like I only wanted to touch her like once a month. If that, when I would try to take care of it myself, it was unfulfilling. And even after sex, like it would just happen and I would just get up like nothing happened. Like I would go play video games or something. Like it was just something to do. So, I mean, but like I would like literally like I'll be finished. I go clean up, go sit on the couch, play video games. Like I was in my head constantly. So that was happening, and it was all just very overwhelming. Like I had a girlfriend who was down for it all the time. My friend had passed away, and I saw that woman's body, and like my emotions there were messed up. And so eventually, and thanks to her, she was a psychology major and she sought therapy for herself. She kind of inspired me to go see a therapist. Like I've heard about it before, but like, you know, you never think you have a reason to go. But it was just great timing that she was there. So I started going to therapy, and the first session I think I don't forget what I talked about. But it was something that didn't have to do with, I think it was having to do with my friend Donovan's passing and seeing that woman's body. Like I just had to get that off my chest. And so the next appointment, because I thought that was most important. Um, and the next appointment, I decided to talk about my sex drive. Um, Now I figured it was because I had a really bad situation with a woman from when I first moved to Texas, and it kind of created a mental block. But in between that, I had girlfriends and other partners in between. I had one girlfriend and a partner in between. Like, so I was like, it just doesn't seem right that that's the thing. But like, I really wanted to figure it out. So I talked to my therapist about it, and I mentioned that I wasn't getting aroused. I wasn't having erections at all. And she was like, okay, so she's like, are you having morning erections? And I was like, when's the last time you had a morning erection? I said, no, I haven't had one in a while. She said, okay, do you get like spontaneous erections like throughout the day? Do you ever get erections? I was like, no, haven't had one of those in a long time. Like, she really made me think about it. And she says, okay, before we dive into your mental stuff, we need to get into your physical stuff. We need to get into your physical. So what I want you to do is I want you to see a doctor. I want you to tell them what's going on with you and get some blood work. So my black female therapist, for people who think I hate women, my black female therapist sent me to see my black female doctor to tell her about my issues. When I told her what was going on, she was like, okay, well, do this, do that, get some blood work and come back. When I went back to my follow-up appointment, she came in the room, told me my numbers were fine, except for my testosterone level. My testosterone level, the range for a testosterone level, according to her, the sheet that she gave me, should have been somewhere between 250 to 1,000 units, whatever it was, right? My testosterone level essentially told me that I was an 80-year-old man because my testosterone level was down, mind you, 250 to 1,000. I was at 130 when I went to get my blood check. I was at 130. And she looks at me and she tells me, like, it's a like kudos to you for waking up in the morning and doing this, because most guys who have that problem, they don't want to get up. Like, you can't get them to do anything because your testosterone is what gives you energy. And I was like blown away because I had been I have been reffing football games. I have been going out with my friends. I have been doing everything, like going to work, getting there on time or as on time as possible. Like, I have been doing everything I'd usually been doing and never just thought of it. Like, I was just going through my day. And so when she told me my testosterone was low, of course I went to go do research like millennials do. We hear something from our doctor, and as much as they tell us don't Google it, we go ahead and Google it. And so when I went to go look up what was some of the symptoms were, I realized that I had a lot of them. And I never noticed, and I just thought it was just life, and I had to like stick it out. And there were moments where I was told, hey, you're a smart guy, can't you think your way out of it? And I'm like, I I couldn't. I tried. It was a chemical thing, and we don't talk enough about how our chemicals impact our system. So I'm going to share this screen here. What I have here is, let's go back. All right. So I had a lot of these different symptoms of low testosterone, and I had no clue until I actually knew what it was. So let's go over some of them. This is going to be like a bit of a class in a sense. So bear with me. Mood changes. I definitely had mood changes. One thing that was two things were glaring to me. When I would go to work and I would deal with my students, I was like, from day to day, it changed. Some days I'd be really happy to see them. Most days, actually, some days I'd be really happy to see them. On most days, on the other side, like, they they bothered me. Like just their presence was irritating, and I didn't like that. Another thing was that when I would go out with my friends, uh, I would be out for like maybe a half hour and be like, "All right, I'm ready to go home. Like I don't want to be here anymore." My mood, I was moody all the time. I was in my apartment, sad all the time. I didn't want to do anything. I was just down. So no motivation, increased emotionality. Yeah, all of that. Like I didn't want to get up for work in the morning. I had all these ideas of what I wanted to do with my life, but I would just sit there and do nothing. I'd rather just play video games and just get lost in that. And but I was still like lost in my head too. There were times when I actually thought about what it would be like to die, and it would freak me out. Um, and that just wasn't a fun time. Let's see. Hair loss, fatigue, lack of energy. Well, hair loss. I end up shaving. So what happened was, I tell this story. I'm very personable about it. I don't care because I ended up shaving my head anyway. When I was 20 years old, I was trying to save money by cutting my own hair, and I was going against the grain. I guess I went a little too low on one side because it never grew back the same. So I was waiting for like years and years and years for it to grow back, and it never did. And eventually, I ended up shaving my head bald. But I lost some hair. Before I had my testosterone, like all I had was just this. Like it was hard for me to grow facial hair on the sides here. My beard wasn't this thick before. Fatigue, definitely had lack of fatigue and lack of energy. I definitely had those. The fatigue, I remember being on the football field and on the basketball courts, and we would like just start playing, and I would be taking deep breaths, like before the first quarter even ended. Um, I didn't feel like waking up in the morning. I remember my alarm clock would hit, and I would sit in bed for another 45 minutes, but not just because didn't get enough sleep the night before, which actually ends up being a symptom of low testosterone is not being able to sleep, but because my bed felt my body felt heavy, like I didn't want to move. Lack of energy, fatigue, low semen volume. Yup, that's as far as I'm gonna go with that one. Let's just say when I handled it myself, I was very surprised at the outcome. Pun intended. All right. Low sex drive. Definitely had one of those. I didn't want to have sex. It felt like an inconvenience. It felt like, and then I felt like the pressure to perform, right? Because as a guy, you're supposed to want to do it all the time. And when I did have the opportunities, like I would have to like really like get myself going in order to do it. Like everything from, push-ups to at some point I actually got to taking pills because I just could not do it. Again, my ex-girlfriend who was down for anything, I had to like take pills with her just to make sure she was satisfied. I couldn't do it. So my sex drive wasn't there. Testicular shrinkage, I don't remember that too much. I guess I didn't pay attention. But the hormone testosterone is produced in your testes. So if there's like no production in your testes, of course, there would be no reason for them to have size. Genital numbness and difficulty achieving erections. Yes, both of those. I remember even when I did have sexual encounters, like I barely felt it. And then also like when I wasn't being touched, I would like go back limp. It was not fun. It wasn't a fun thing to look at. And actually, it's one of my biggest fears when it comes to sex now is that I will go back there. What else we got? Man boobs. Yep, definitely gained man boobs. Decrease in bone mass, increase in body fat, loss in muscle mass, cardiovascular disease. I didn't have cardiovascular disease, thank God. But I do remember that my heart was beating extremely harder than usual. It might have been the anxiety, I don't know. But it was definitely different. Loss of muscle mass and decrease in bone mass. I definitely do remember that, mind you, I was going to referee football games and basketball games throughout this entire time period. So I'm getting some exercise in, at least 3-4 days a week, eating properly and everything, because I'm not going out anywhere. I'm just staying at home. But I do remember I did get very flabby. I got very flabby. I remember I had gained so much weight that I ended up I got so big that I remember I got to a point where it was so distinct. I had to hold my breath to go bend down to tie my shoe. I just remember looking in the mirror and I was like, yo, this is nuts. This is insane. Like how much weight I've gained. And actually, I think I'm trying to find a picture of when I actually lost the weight. Let's see. Let's see what else. Increase in body fat, body mass, man boobs, all that stuff. Yeah, I had. Low testosterone wasn't fun for me. I'm trying to think of what else I might have done or might have happened to me at that time. I definitely remember being tired all the time. I remember being irritable. I remember just not wanting to do anything. I remember going to baseball games and football games and thinking to myself, like, man, I cannot wait until this is over. I can't wait to just go home and do absolutely nothing. This is not cool. This is not fun. I can't wait until this is over. What else? Didn't really want to have sex. That was the worst part to me. Because I had a girlfriend at the time, loved her to death, but I just did not want to do it. And so she ended up, well, she didn't cheat or anything, but I'll tell you about what happened at the end. So let me round this story out. We've round this story out, and then we can talk about the other stuff. So after it was found that I had low testosterone, my doctor sent me to the urologist. He was an Indian man or Pakistani, or he was from that part of Asia. She sent me to him, and he did his test and everything else, and come to find out that it was nothing that he could do for me. So he decided to send me to the endocrinologist, the hormone doctor. The urologist is for the male reproductive system. He is the male equivalent of an OBGYN, of a gynecologist. So the urologist sent me to the endocrinologist, which deals with hormones. The hormone doctor did her test and told me to get an MRI. I sat in a tube for 45 minutes, perfectly still. The results came back, and it was said that I had what was called a prolactinoma in my pituitary gland. So what a prolactinoma is, it's a growth. It's like a benign tumor that sits on the pituitary gland. And what it did was it not paused, but it definitely hindered testosterone production. And it increased what's called prolactin into my system. And prolactin is the hormone that women produce when they are getting ready to breastfeed. So eventually I probably would have started milking. But I had all this prolactin in my system. I had very little testosterone in my system. I was still in the 130 range by the time my endocrinologist ran her test. And she just her method of treatment for me, because I had a tumor. She actually said too that it's becoming more common in young men, and looking for me to do it. Actually, all three of them, my black female doctor, the urologist, and the endocrinologist, all commended me for like going to work every day and just pushing through, because with numbers as low as mine, I would have been in bed all day, every day. Like there was nothing else to do. So she ended up treating me for the prolactinoma. She gave me some pills. I had to take a half a pill twice a week. And within the first 2 weeks, that pill started working, and my testosterone, the pill started working and the tumor started shrinking, and I remember feeling different. And the defining moment for me when I felt different was when I was at the grocery store and I saw a woman who she was wearing yoga pants, had a nice little shape to her, not yoga pants, stretch pants, had a nice little shape to her. And I remember just staring at her. And I thought to myself, wow, I haven't done that in a very long time, to where I see a woman and I just stared at her. And it made me realize, like, oh man, I'm back to normal, or I'm getting back to normal. Like, this is what it was. And so I remember just this overwhelming amount of energy. I liken it to when if you ever twist a water hose, right? And it gets tight and then the water stops coming out the spout, and then you unleash it and all that water just rushes out. That's what it was with me and my testosterone. My testosterone was being held back by this prolactinoma. And then once it started loosening up, my testosterone just started flooding back into my system. And I felt things that I haven't felt since I was 16. I wanted to have sex with every woman I saw. My sex drive was relentless. I was like a teenage boy all over again. It's insane. It's insane how much I wanted to have sex. It was ridiculous. Like, quite frank with you, I remember I got to a point where I was for a few months where I was taking care of it myself, like 4 to 5 times a day. Like, it was like a day. Like, it was that bad. Even when I had partners at the time, because eventually me and my girlfriend at the time broke up for reasons unrelated, but I just remember I wanted to like have sex all the time. Like, I was mad horny, and like I just didn't like I there was no stopping me. Really, really, there was no stopping me. Like, I was gonna get it. I mean, not in that way, but like that's all I wanted to do. And so I realized, like, I'm getting better. Did my research and found out a lot of things about testosterone that I didn't know before. Testosterone is good for focus. It's and so when it came to work, I just remember that I wasn't concentrating on work and what I had to do in the classroom. I remember I used to like stop and have to say all the time, like, wait, what was I trying to say? Like, that was a daily occurrence for me, like regularly. I couldn't remember, I'm a referee, so I couldn't remember the rules and, make calls. Like, I couldn't do anything. So it was just interesting to see. I'm trying to think of what else about nothing really about my story. Like, at this point now, I'm still under medication. Like, this has been 2 years. So this should be my last round of meds. I'm supposed to see the doctor in May about the size of the tumor. Got to sit in another tube for 45 minutes to make sure that it's all gone and clean. But it may come back. Who knows? But I'm praying that it kind of stays away from me. Shout out to the likes and the one angry face, the love from Jasmine. I do appreciate it. So, what are the benefits of testosterone? All right. Testosterone is good for the healthier heart, muscle mass. We already talked about building semen, increased muscle, better sex drive, basically everything on that chart except the opposite. Promotes good moods and everything. What you should look out for, everything in that chart. Right. I had all of those, maybe except for the cardiovascular disease. But definitely I remember my heart wasn't functioning properly. Another thing that I picked up as far as the importance of testosterone is there's an article from a guy by the name of Chris Ryan, who wrote a book called Sex at Dawn. If you are into, or if you ever wonder why people cheat, I suggest you go read that book. called Sex at Dawn, because it talks about how it's basically in our DNA to have multiple sex partners. But in that story, Chris Ryan in that book, Chris Ryan tells a story of a transgender uh, woman to man, and they did the full transition from with hormone therapy. They introduced hormones into this man, and so they discussed the effects. I was trying to look for the article earlier, I couldn't find it, but I found it a long time ago, but I can't remember where it is. And I gave away my book, so I can't cite it. But in the story, they asked the guy what it was like for him before testosterone was introduced into the system. He said, when I would go talk to a girl on the train, or see a girl on the train, I would look at her outfit and I would critique her outfit, and I would want to know what book she was wearing, what book she was wearing, what book she was reading. I wanted to know what her favorite color was. I wanted to know all these things about her. And they then asked him, okay, so what happened after you had testosterone introduced into your system? He said, all I could think about was her body and what I could do to it. It was ass. No, look at her titties. Ass. No, look at her titties. Look at her ass. Look at her titties. No, look at it. Don't look. Like, and it was that. And I just remember I had that same feeling when I got my testosterone back. When it came back, fully functioning. Like, I just remember I would be looking at women and I could not get away from the parts that made them sexual. It's very intense, and it made me feel really bad for teenage boys, because they get basically shamed for the feelings that they get, despite the fact that they have nothing to do with it. I won't say it's out of their control, because something I also learned was that if you suppress your hormones, if you suppress your testosterone, your body will stop making it, or it will stop making it at certain levels. Which brings me to my favorite point, is that according to science, and this is science, this is not me talking, this is science. According to science, if a man is in a long-term monogamous relationship, it will drastically impact his testosterone production level. Let me say that again. If a man is in a long-term monogamous relationship, it will drastically impact his testosterone levels. They know this because they tested men of the same age, men who were married and men who were single. And what they found was that the married men had drastically lower testosterone than the married men. And what they determined was that because single men had the ability to basically use their testosterone, that they didn't lose. It's under the same, statement as, if you use it, if you don't use it, you lose it, basically. So if you don't get out and actually practice being like going out for other sexual partners, being a sexual deviant, if you don't go out and practice talking to women, or if you don't have sex with other women, then it will cause you to have some low testosterone, which will slowly kill you. I had a conversation with a friend the other day who he said he has some issues with his testosterone too. And his doctor was asking him the questions like, how many times a week are you having sex? He's married, so it's like one time a week, if that, right? So he's like, with one woman? He's like, yeah. He was like, before you were married, how often were you having sex? And he was like, 4 or 5 times a week. He's like, with one woman? He was like, no, like 2 or 3. Right? It was a lot. And so the doctor told him, he's like, yeah, if you just have sex with one woman for a very long time, there goes your testosterone. Right? So that's one of my favorite points about it. If you don't let your man cheat, you are slowly killing him, which I'm thinking that's what you want to do anyway. But you're slowly killing him if you don't let him go exercise his options. So what are some treatments for it? So my situation was a little different, just a little different, because uh, tumors. What causes it? Tumors, uh, age. Your testosterone is gonna go down as you age anyway. It's not supposed to be as low as mine was at my age. I was 27 at the time, and I basically had the testosterone of an 80-year-old man. So age, uh, tumors, other medical issues can hinder testosterone. Uh, and I want to say that's, I mean, I'm sure there's more that I'm not naming, but it's there. So how do you treat it? What they have is they have injections, pills, these skin pellets that get into your system. They got gels that you rub on your chest and stuff. There are a bunch of ways to get you testosterone. Um, my urologist had actually told me, though. He said I would put you on testosterone treatments, because he didn't know what it was at first. He's like, we'll put you on testosterone treatments, but if I give you testosterone, it'll make you sterile. And he was like, you don't have any kids, do you? I was like, no. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that to you. So apparently, if you get testosterone injected into you unnaturally, it could make you sterile. Don't want to take that risk. What else can you do? You could take supplements, and vitamins. Vitamins like zinc are really good for it. B12, a bunch of other of those vitamins with all the letters and numbers. What else? You can eat certain foods. Foods like eggs, red meat, oysters, yogurt. Oysters make sense as it being an aphrodisiac. Yogurt, coconut, mince, red meat. That was the one that I got to quite often. I love steaks, and so when I found out that my testosterone was low, I took every opportunity I could to get some red meat from somewhere. Coffee is good to stimulate your physical to produce testosterone, but I think it's terrible for your sperm count. Pomegranates. I remember I tried eating pomegranates for a while to boost my testosterone. Cabbage, ginger, extra virgin olive oil. There are a lot of different ways. There are also some exercises you can do that include like bench pressing, doing squats and deadlifts. Basically, anything that you can, any exercise you can do that calls on multiple muscle contractions will boost your testosterone or help with your testosterone. I haven't did any supplements because I really didn't need it, because mine was just a internal pituitary issue. But in the future, there's probably a really good chance that I'll be taking some testosterone, because I remember how I felt, and I don't want to feel like that anymore. That was one of the worst times in my life, physically and mentally. I looked terrible. um, I looked terrible. I felt terrible. I didn't want to do anything but sit around the house and just play video games and do absolutely nothing. Where, where, there's a picture that I'm trying to bring up here, but I can't find it anywhere. Okay, let's see if we can find this again. Grr, it's not popping up. All right. So what my story really talked to me about, or told me about, or showed me, revealed to me, let's say, is that there are probably a lot of men in our community who are dealing with testosterone issues and they don't even know it. Uh, I made a post about this to yesterday or today, and the amount of men who came into the comments and said, well, I mean, there's only a couple of them, but I've heard these stories before, because when I told my story the first time, everybody else or other people started telling me like, yo, you made me think about it too, and now I want to go get checked. But the amount of men who said like, yo, this sounds like me, I don't have a sex drive, don't have the energy, I'm not for it. I thought it was just the kids, but it may not just be the kids. It might be your hormones. I watched a couple of videos of a guy who even said, like, same thing with him and his wife. It's not just the kids. You know, it couldn't be just the kids. It might be the hormones too. Um, why did this picture not come up? Anyway, I wanted to show y'all my new body that only lasted for about a year. I had lost a bunch of weight. Let me see. So I just thought about, like, hey, our community, um, there are a lot of guys in our community who might be dealing with stuff like this. People you might think are lazy, don't want to do nothing. It might be them. Uh, and as we know, in the black community, we don't really do the doctor very well. And a lot of men out there, they just don't go for whatever reason, whether it be because they don't trust the system, whether it be because, like for me, I just figured that it was life, and I just had to keep pushing, and that was it. Like I didn't think anything of it really. I was just like, well, I'm feeling down. My friend passed away. I saw a dead body. I must have PTSD or something. Like it's gonna pass. I'll be fine. And eventually, it got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I got tired of having these thoughts of killing myself for what? Why would like? And I don't want to do that to my family. I don't want to do that to myself. But I always say, if it wasn't for my therapist, my black female therapist, if it wasn't for my black female therapist, I probably would not be here right now, and I probably would have harmed myself eventually. Um, I always say she saved my life, um, because that feeling that I had of low testosterone, um, it was just it was a lot for me, um, to the point where really nowadays I don't even want to. I don't want to go back to that at any point. But I know eventually I'm gonna have to, and it's made me consider getting testosterone treatments when I get older, because I really remember old men who fall asleep all the time. Their testosterone is probably low, right? And we've seen it before. Granddad's on the or dad's on the couch. My dad's a little older now. Dad's on the couch. Granddad's on the couch. Sits there, falls asleep within 10 minutes. That low testosterone, getting older, don't have the energy to do it. Testosterone is really important for that. It's man's life force. If we don't have our testosterone right, then nothing else will go right with us. It's our life force. Um, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about somebody has sent to me. He said, "Yo, man, I appreciate your post about low T. I have had some of, I've had, I have had a few close friends go through similar symptoms and the associate issues. I had mine checked a few months ago because I was putting on weight, even though I was lifting. If you, and then he asked me about my ranges and if I got supplements and stuff. But yeah, it happens, man. One of my friends from high school, or an associate from high school, he told me that after he saw my Instagram post years ago, that he was inspired to go get his testosterone checked. Um, what else? I have friends who, similar things. They're not getting sex. This is happening, that's happening, and they feel like they need to go get it checked. So, for men, it's very, very important that we go get ourselves checked out. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling sad, if you don't feel like having sex, and you know that you're a sexual monster of sorts, uh, you should probably question that and go see a doctor. If you don't trust a doctor, go find one you can trust. Go find a black doctor. They're on the internet. You can find them. Find one that takes your insurance if you got it. You can go find you a black doctor, and you can go get yourself checked out. I I'm glad that I did. Um, my doctor, like I always say, she saved my life, and I appreciate her for that. And see here, if anybody, I should have maybe said this earlier. If anybody has any stories about their testosterone and everything, I'm always open to discuss it, share it, because it's very important to us as men to get our shit together. Um, it's our, like I said, it's our life force. And if you don't feel good about yourself, and if your life isn't being propelled, then what are you really gonna do? It's what wakes us up in the morning. It's what keeps us pushing. It's what makes us focus towards our goals and our purpose. And we should really be more aware of that in our health. One of these days, I'm gonna have uh, a show about black people and going to the doctor, or black men and going to the doctor, because we don't do it. Granted, Tuskegee, I get it. I'm a little sketchy myself sometimes, but at the end of the day, if you go to somebody you can trust, I think you feel a lot better for it. I managed to get I managed to get good doctors that looked like me, and I'm really glad I did it. Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely good. Mark said definitely good to get checked out if there's a problem. Testosterone levels could be low and you don't even know it. Good advice. Yeah, no, it's true. My testosterone, I didn't know anything about testosterone being low when I went to the doctor. She just told me, like, go see a doctor. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, we'll see about that first. I didn't think it was anything that was I didn't think it was anything that was what's it called, um health wise. Didn't think about it. I just thought I was depressed and it was a mental issue, and I had to, get the mental issue fixed. I wasn't thinking about how my hormones impacted me, because nobody ever really said, uh nobody ever really told me that my what my hormones did, or that was even a possibility. So yeah, you need to go actually, like, get it checked out. Um and you kind of have to ask for it, really. You can get your regular blood work done, but you kind of have to say, like, hey, you might want to test me for my testosterone. And every time I go to the doctor now, I always ask them to check it, because I'm very afraid of slipping back into that space. That was not a fun head space for me at all. I don't want to revisit it, don't ever want to go back there. And I mean, even if that means when I get older that I'm going to have like a massive head because of all the testosterone I'm going to be taking, that's perfectly fine. I'll do it in light doses, whatever is not going to kill me at like the age of 65. I'll do it. I am perfectly okay with getting back to that. Like, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Uh, kind of right. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Hated the way I felt. Um, yeah, Joe Rogan talks about him being on testosterone. It works for him. He's doing what he's doing every day, doing interviews and getting in the float tank and doing jujitsu every day. Weight lift, whatever he does. Like, Joe Rogan's a pretty fit for a 50-something-year-old man. Doing pretty good for a 50-something-year-old man. Thank you to the 5 people who are watching this right now. What else? I don't really have much else on testosterone treatments. What cause? Oh, we didn't talk about causes of it, huh? Um, Age is something that causes testosterone to drop. Um, Getting hit in the nards actually will cause your testosterone to drop. Actually, uh, funny thing, every time I went to the doctor, uh, and they came to me with my testosterone results, all 3 of the doctors asked me, did you get hit in the testicles? Like, did you suffer any impact in your testicles? Uh, because of course that's where they produce, and if there's any kind of leakage, guess what? That hormone's not making its way through your body. So the pituitary gland is what controls, it's up here, and it controls all of your hormones. If there's a break in the testes, like your pituitary may say produce testosterone, but if the testes aren't functioning, you're not going to get any testosterone. So that could cause it. Tumors in your pituitary gland, like mine. I actually heard, crap, I lost my point. But the tumor that I had was a benign tumor, meaning it's not cancerous. It wasn't going to kill me. And she decided to go for pills to shrink it rather than just to have a surgery, which thank God, because I wouldn't want to have went under the knife for that kind of thing, or anything really. What else causes it? Overall laziness, actually. If you just sit around the house, do nothing all day, and you don't interact with women, if you're not having sex on a regular basis, your testosterone will lower. Again, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Right. And then for men, of course, with the way that with the way our biology is set up, sexual variety will help to increase your testosterone production, because you need that spike, because men get excited for new partners. It's not just some like societal, like, oh, men have been conditioned to have sex for their ego. It's not like that. Men actually kind of need to have sexual variety in order to have a very fulfilling lifestyle. It may not necessarily like keep your testosterone up, but it definitely causes spikes to where your body is used to producing more. On the flip side of that, again, there are consequences to everything. Have too much sex, you can get prostate cancer. But that's a different show. Actually, I might talk to my mother. My grandfather, he passed away from prostate cancer. I might see what that experience was like. Yeah, not enough sex gets prostate cancer too. Yeah, prostate cancer. Oh, here's another thing about testosterone. So low testosterone may not always be a bad thing, because if you have low testosterone while you have prostate cancer, it makes it easier, I guess, to fight the cancer that your body's not pumping testosterone. Go figure. But if you have, if you don't have enough sex, prostate cancer will occur, because the prostate is like a muscle in a sense. If you work it out enough, you get firm, strong, and it's healthy. Work it out, don't work it out at all, it becomes weak. Work it out too much, and it will basically like start breaking on itself. And that's what prostate cancer is. Like it's a breakdown of your prostate, of course. Like it's not healthy. But I'm not a medical doctor, so who gives a shit what I gotta say? Um, Shout out to, I mean, if you're not having enough sex, yeah, probably not in a good position right now. Um, my suggestion, and I actually, well, I don't want to advocate anything illegal. Low class escorts, let's call them that. Go for a low class escort and get that taken care of, because that's not a fun thing to do. All right, so that's the T show. Uh, That's the T show. I know a lot of men out there have their issues with testosterone. They've told me about it. Doctors even have explained to me like it's a lot more common than what I think. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, and I don't really care to, just because I think a lot of men are a lot more introspective, because um, when you see charts such as the one that we see here, a lot of men can look at that and say like, "Oh, that happened to me. Oh, that happened to me. Oh, that's me. Wait, hold on. Do I have low testosterone?" And I think it would make them reflect on what it is. So, uh, I don't really need to know numbers, but just be aware. a lot of men in our community have an issue with emotional intelligence. And I don't know if it's just not just men in our community. I think it's a man thing, period. Women are better at emotional intelligence than men, and that's just a fact. We tend to like overlook those things because we think more with our logic. If it, there is no like, I mean, there is sad and happy and everything, but if it doesn't work out with our logic, then it if it makes us upset, we think about it and then we say, okay, is this good or bad? We move on from there. So yes, fatigue. Is that a Q? Oh yeah, it's a Q. Yeah, it might be for some British. You know what I noticed? Um, I noticed that the posts that go viral the most are always the ones with spelling errors. Very rarely will I ever see a post go viral that doesn't have some kind of spelling error. It's very interesting. Um, very, very, very interesting stuff. All right. So, anything else? Anything else for the culture? Uh, Men need to get our shit together and like we need to start paying attention to ourselves. I know we worry about other people a lot. I know we worry about other people a lot, and it's kind of in our nature. I've been kind of muddling the thought lately that men are actually probably more charitable than women, just because we're kind of designed to spread the goodness to other people. But I know we worry about each other a lot, but sometimes we need to look at ourselves because we have a lot of people who depend on us to take care of them, to be their protectors, to basically be the rock that people need in their lives. And we can't do that if we ourselves aren't right. I'm actually kind of amazed a little bit that we don't push. Well, I won't say that. Um, I'm kind of amazed a bit that we don't really like we encourage men to go to the doctor, but I'm kind of amazed that we don't um as much as we should. But I also know too that men process their pain through their logic, whereas women process their pain through their emotions. So if a woman is hurt, she's gonna feel it pretty deeply because it's in her emotions. Whereas a man, if a man is hurt, he's going to process through his emotions like, and I've done several times, like, oh, can I go to work? Am I still breathing? Can I walk? I am good. I will be fine. It's gonna pass. And sometimes it's not the thing. And I think sometimes we learned that from COVID too, because COVID was one of the first times that I actually felt like had a cold, and I was like, no, this ain't right. I got to go to the doctor. But we need to do a lot better job of looking after ourselves as we look after other people as well. Uh, they need us, and if we really want to do like the ultimate solid to the people that need us, then um, we need to be there, and we need to take care of ourselves. Uh, I don't have much else to offer this conversation. Again, I'm not a doctor or anything. I just know that this is an issue that we have in our community with doctors and as men. Period. Again, we process things through our logic, but we hardly take the time to step back and like be introspective and say, okay, I need to fix myself. Uh, if you or anybody you know may be suffering from any of the symptoms of low testosterone, ladies, check with your guys, make sure that they're good. Uh, I mean, pay attention as much as you can. If they're going to be introspective, they are. But if not, then it is what it is. One of the reasons why men die sooner too is because we don't pay attention to ourselves that way. So that's one of the reasons why married men live longer than single men, because women are there to help us to pay attention to ourselves and take care of things. There are so many instances. This is kind of an aside, but there are so many instances where I've been feeling a certain way, and one of my lady friends would call me up and then start telling me like, "Yo, you need to like go see somebody," and I'd be like, "No, no, I'm good. I'll be all right." Like I've done this before. She's like, "No, you need to go see somebody." Like that happens often. So men, we really don't do that. I don't remember the last time I told one of my friends like, "Yo, you should probably go to the doctor, bro." You know what I mean? Uh, but that's one of the benefits of having women around. So if anybody you know, yes, they're there to help, believe it or not. Many women don't understand that as their role. But like that's a part of that nurturing spirit to make sure that everybody's healthy, taken care of, and gonna live into the next day. Men are there to provide and make sure that you can eat. Women are there to make sure you can eat. You're clothed in our society, and women are there to make sure that you are going to be alive for as long as possible. Women maintain, men build, right? Um, so they're there to help. I wish more would understand that. So it's been an hour and a half, and I really don't have too much else to talk about with this. Again, I'm not a doctor. I am who I am, and I have a story to tell. I shared my story, and I want other guys to know and understand what their options are as far as what they can do if they're feeling a certain way. If you really been down the dump sad, and we tend to self-medicate a bit, uh don't be afraid to reach out to your doctor, man. The fix could be simpler than granted mine took a bit longer than a simple fix. I'm taking medication for 2 years, but the point is I still got it taken care of to the point where now I mean, I made it back to normal. Like I'm myself again. I feel like myself again, and that's the important part to me. So, like, share, subscribe. Again, I want to take a lot of stuff to my YouTube channel. I want to try to get it off of Facebook, and although I know I get the most engagement out of this, I really would like to move everything there because my Facebook page is already kind of wild. And I think if I grow my audience on YouTube and everything, I kind of move it off of there and just kind of be my own thing. Not to mention the fact that it's my personal page, and I'm talking about some issues that really I feel like a lot of people need to see, and I don't feel like making my page public. Although all of these episodes are, if you would go to YouTube, type in Waffle Talk, uh, go to YouTube and type in Waffle Talk, you will see it's gonna be it should be an orange W or something right now. Um, Type in Waffle Talk, it's an orange W on there right now. Um, what else? Also on Facebook, it's there uh as Waffle Talk. Logo and everything coming soon. Hopefully, get some instrumentals going of my own, and we'll talk about men issues, and really, one of the things that I talk about with people really is how to deal with women. Honestly, I get a lot of questions about certain situations, and I try to handle them as best as possible. I'm no guru, as y'all hate for people to be. I'm just a man with an opinion. So, and some people think my opinion is valid. So, like, share, subscribe, get the likes up, share the video where you can, let everybody know what it is. If you got friends who are men and they're dealing with their issues and they don't want to talk about it, this is a safe space where we can do that. I might run another Who Hurt You episode coming up in the near future, so look out for that. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, donate. The Cash App's at the bottom here. There we go. Ticker. All right. Like, share, subscribe, donate there. Again, trying to get more elements to the show. I gotta get my stream deck working. Eek. I get my stream deck working properly, and we'll be good to go on some things. So, go see some changes in the future. But until next time, Uh, I will holler at y'all later, and I will see ya.